going on, everyone? Today's video is going to be all about lottery winners who struck gold and then ended up losing it all. And today we are starting off with Billy Bob Harrell Jr. Before June 1997, Billy Bob Harrell Jr. was just another man struggling to maintain his family. He worked as a stock boy at Home Depot in Northeast Harris County. But before working there, he was laid off from a couple of jobs. Time was against him and his income was barely enough to meet his ends, so he was thinking about how he could earn more money to run his family smoothly. What else can a man do when the time is against him? So every Wednesday and Saturday, Bob would gather a few dollars and purchase some lottery tickets to try his luck. Then eventually, on June 28th, 1997, the God of Wealth bestowed the blessings on Billy Bob Harrell Jr. and he won $31 million. At the age of 47, Bob became a millionaire overnight, and it was beyond his wildest dream. After winning the Lotto Texas jackpot, Bob purchased a ranch and a half a dozen homes. Each family member got new cars and their lifestyle dramatically changed. Bob was overjoyed by the sudden attention he was getting from people because of his money, and as you can imagine, his spending habits quickly went out of control. This whole experience impacted his marriage pretty heavily. His wife Barbara and kids said their loving dad was missing in their life. Bob's life had become a living hell. He had no peace of mind or happiness, and instead of solving his life problems, more money brought him more and more problems. Then the worst thing that Bob did after the separation was that he got involved with a company named Stone Street Capital. This company told Bob that they would help him get a single lump sum payout for his lottery winnings instead of the annual installments that he was getting. The deal was that Bob would immediately get a lump sum of $2.25 million in cash from Stone Street Capital in exchange for 10 years worth of his half of the lottery winnings. Based on the math, Stone Street Capital would collect $6 million over 10 years. Clearly a terrible deal for Bob. Being deeply unhappy and lonely, he wanted to reconcile with his ex-wife, but Barbara Jean refused by saying that he could only meet the family for dinner. So Bob agreed, and on May 22nd, 1999, he went to her house for dinner. He went there a little early and locked himself in the grand bedroom, then pressed a shotgun barrel against his chest and fired. He left many notes behind, but one of them was he mentioned to his financial advisor that winning the lottery was the worst thing that has ever happened to me. Up next is Michael Carroll. In 2002, at the age of 19, Michael Carroll won £9.7 million, which was equivalent to about $15 million tax-free on the lottery. He was working as a trash collector. He also had a baby on the way with his girlfriend, Sandra Atkin. Michael came from a humble working-class background, but one full of trouble. His father was arrested and sent to jail for stabbing a couple after getting into a fight. He was then absent for 11 years. His parents got divorced and his father passed away when he was just a boy. At 19 years of age, Michael won a fortune. It was enough to fulfill his dreams of spending big, buying expensive property, and setting himself up for life. Michael didn't need to work for money ever again. Instead, Michael blew the lot on constant partying, festivities, on exotic cars, big houses, and tons of jewelry. Not to mention the constant partying, drugs, and prostitutes he was seeing daily. And by 2012, he had nothing left and fell into debt for the non-payment of taxes and property fees. Michael blew it all and went back to working a regular job. He now lives an ordinary life and has regrets about the past. He also has to work in standard employment like everyone else. Yes, he had a lot of fun along the way, but right now Michael could be in a way better position, living in his own house with financial security instead. Up next is David Lee Edwards. David Lee Edwards was an Ashland, Kentucky man whose world was turned upside down by a huge Powerball lottery win. By the time he won the Kentucky Powerball jackpot in 2001, Edwards had lived a rough life and was a convicted felon. He had reportedly spent about a third of his life in jail. However, a trip to the convenience store and a $7 purchase of lottery tickets changed everything. David Lee Edwards won a $27 million Powerball jackpot in August of 2001, and he chose to take a one-time payout. By 2006, he had lost it all. At the press conference where he accepted his check, Edwards said he wasn't going to spend the prize on mansions or cars, and it seems he may have tried to follow through with this at first, as he hired a lawyer and a financial advisor. His advisor, James Gibbs, later told media that his advice could have ensured that Edwards was set for life with a monthly allowance of $85,000. However, Edwards did not follow Gibbs' advice and spent roughly $3 million within just 3 months of receiving his money. He also sold off all of his bonds and stocks that Gibbs had invested for him. It wasn't long before Edwards was spending money on big-ticket luxury items. He and his wife Shauna purchased 2 homes, one of which was $1.6 million, 6,000 square foot mansion in a gated community in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. The other home came with a $600,000 price tag. Edwards also started collecting cars and purchasing a $200,000 Lamborghini Diablo and a $90,000 Dodge Viper. He even bought his teenage daughter Tiffany a $35,000 Hummer golf cart, as she wasn't quite old enough to drive at the time. At one point, a newspaper reported that Edwards had $1 million worth of cars sitting in his driveway. However, high-end cars weren't the only kind of transportation Edwards had a liking for. He also bought a $1.9 million private jet so that he could fly between his home in Florida and his old home in Kentucky. Edwards also bragged about purchasing a $30,000 plasma screen TV, a $78,000 gold and diamond watch, and a $160,000 ring. In addition to collecting cars, Edwards also started collecting antiques, swords, and armor, as you can see scattered all throughout his house. At one point, he had a collection of around 200 of these items. After only a year of living as a millionaire, Edwards had reportedly spent $12 million. By 2006, just 5 years after hitting the jackpot, Edwards had spent all of his money and joined the ranks of lottery winners who went bankrupt. He and his wife Shauna both became addicted to drugs. They were arrested multiple times for possession of crack cocaine, heroin, and prescription pills. Shauna was in and out of rehab. James Gibbs also stated that Edwards would often supply his friends with drugs, many of whom have died of overdoses. When his friends passed away, Edwards could pay for their funerals. As though things couldn't get any worse, David and his wife both contracted hepatitis as a result of their drug use, and by the time they ran out of money, they were living in a rundown storage unit. Shauna eventually separated from David and got remarried. However, it doesn't appear that Edwards was able to turn his life around and ended up passing away in 2013 in hospice care. He was 58 when he died and had no money to leave for his daughter to inherit, breaking the very promise that he made so publicly after his win. Andrew Jackson Whittaker Jr., born October 9, 1947, was an American businessman in the construction industry. He was noted for being the winner of a 2002 lottery jackpot. His win was $314.9 million in the Powerball multi-state lottery, and it was, at the time, the largest jackpot ever won by a single winning ticket in the history of the American lottery. After winning the lottery, he had several brushes with the law and personal tragedies. Before his lottery win, Whittaker had been the president of Diversified Enterprises Construction, a contracting firm in West Virginia, for 12 years. Whittaker had already had a net worth of over $17 million before his windfall. On Christmas Eve 2002, Whittaker purchased the winning quick pick ticket at the supermarket in West Virginia, where he had stopped for a deli breakfast sandwich and to get fuel for his vehicle. He was not a regular lottery player, but bought $100 worth of tickets because the jackpot was so high. He played the lottery only when it reached over $100 million. The jackpot that Christmas Day before taxes was $314.9 million, or $170 million cash. Whittaker chose the cash option of $113 million after taxes. As soon as Whittaker got his money, he pledged 10% of his winnings to the Christian charities, including several churches affiliated with the Church of God in West Virginia. He also constructed 2 churches worth about $23 million. And then he, on top of that, donated $14 million to establish the Jack Whittaker Foundation, a nonprofit organization that provides food and clothing to low-income families. Something else that he did was he bought the deli manager who served the biscuits for the convenience store when he purchased a winning ticket. He bought them a $125,000 house, a new Jeep Grand Cherokee, and gave her a check for $44,000. Whittaker then went and purchased his own Lamborghini and drove it through his neighborhood, throwing cash out the window. On August 5th, 2003, less than 1 year after Whittaker won the lottery, thieves broke into his car while it was parked at a strip club in West Virginia. The thieves made away with almost $600,000 in cash that Whittaker carried around in a suitcase. When asked why would he carry that much money with him, Whittaker responded, "Because I can." In another incident, the 2 employees at the club, the general manager and a dancer manager, were arrested and charged with trying to drug Whittaker's drinks and then rob him. On January 25th, 2004, the thieves once again broke into his car, making off with $200,000 cash. On September 16, 2004, Jesse Tribble, an 18-year-old on and off again boyfriend of Whittaker's granddaughter, Brandy Bragg, was found dead in Whittaker's home. A coroner's report indicated that he died from an overdose. Then, just 1 month later, Brandy Bragg, 17, was found dead on the property of a male friend after being reported missing on December 9th. Her body was wrapped in plastic and dumped behind a junked van. Cocaine and methadone were found in her system, but the cause of death was listed as undetermined, and no one was charged with a crime. His troubles wouldn't stop there. Whittaker was then later sued by Caesars Atlantic City Casino for bouncing $1.5 million worth of checks to cover gambling losses. He countersued, saying that the losses were supposed to be credited due to a slot machine he developed, and that they in fact owed him money. On January 11, 2007, a legal complaint against Whittaker alleged that he claimed thieves took all his money. The thieves, according to the account, went to 12 branches of the City National Bank and cashed 12 checks. The incident came to light when Whittaker had not been paying money to a woman he had previously sued him. Then 2 years later, Ginger Whittaker Bragg, Whittaker's 42-year-old daughter, the mother of Brandy Bragg, was found dead in West Virginia with no explanation given. Whittaker had tons of troubles with already losing a lot of his fortune. And on December 2nd, 2016, around 7 a.m., Whittaker's home in Bland County, Virginia, was reported to be on fire. When firefighters arrived, the home was fully engulfed and the house was deemed a total loss. Whittaker's wife was home when the fire broke out, but she was able to make it out safely with no injuries reported. Whittaker died on June 27, 2020, following a long illness, and no further details were given. It seems as soon as this man hit the lottery, everything just started going downhill. From fortune loss and then family loss, it seems everything was against this man. Up next is William Post. Post was born in Erie, Pennsylvania, and his mother died when he was 8 years old, and his father sent him to an orphanage soon after. For most of his life, Post was alienated by his siblings. He was married 7 times, with 6 of them ending in divorce. Post worked in various temporary jobs such as cooking, truck driving, and traveling around with carnivals and circuses. He even served 28 days in jail for issuing invalid checks. On the day he won the lottery, he had just $2.46 in his bank account. Post bought one of the winning tickets from the Pennsylvania lottery in 1988 worth $16.2 million. The total jackpot was more than $32 million, the second highest total in state history. According to the Washington Post, he pawned a ring for $40 and gave Ann Karpick, his landlady and occasional girlfriend, the cash for 40 tickets in the state lottery, one of which was the winning ticket. Karpick later sued Post for 1/3 of the lottery winnings. In 2 weeks after Post collected the first of his 26 annual payments of $497,000, he spent more than $300,000 on gifts and investments, such as a liquor license, a lease for a restaurant in Florida, a used car lot, and a twin-engine airplane, despite lacking a pilot's license. In just 3 months' time, his debts totaled $500,000. The next year, he bought a mansion in Oil City, Pennsylvania, for $400,000. In 1989, William's own brother, intending to acquire Post's winnings as inheritance, his brother attempted to have him and his 6th wife murdered by paying a hitman to do so. The attempt did not succeed, and Post's brother was arrested. In 1989, Karpick sued Post for a portion of his lottery winnings. She claimed that he had agreed to split any winnings. After 3 years, a judge ruled that Post owed her 1/3 of all proceeds. In 1998, Post was arrested on a $260,000 sailboat for refusing to serve a 6 to 24-month prison sentence on a 6-year-old assault conviction. Post had fired a shotgun at a man who was coming to his mansion to collect a debt. He was also ordered by the court to stay away from his 6th wife after he fired the shotgun into her Pontiac Firebird. On January 15, 2006, William Post died of respiratory failure at age 66. Towards the end of his life, William Post acquired over $1 million in debt. Near the end of his lifetime, he survived on food stamps and $450 a month. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know. I can make a part 2 and part 3. There is a lot of people that this has happened to. But anyway, I love all you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.